Okay, I'll go ahead and get started. So, good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining with us tonight. I am looking forward to it, and I hope you all are as well in relation to learning a little bit more about mental well-being for yourselves. My name is Angelique Monroe. I am the Vice President of Programming and Events here for NAAA HR. Just a brief overview about what NAAA HR is. It is the National Association of African Americans in Human Resources, which is a nonprofit organization dedicated to advancing and empowering Black and African American professionals within the human resources field. And we try to make sure that we are developing our people, that we're networking, attending events, and so on, and like building on skill sets. If you are not aware, we did launch our website earlier this month. So that website is NAAAHRShy.org. I will also drop that in the chat for you all. You'll be able to check out our upcoming events that we will have, especially going into the new year. You'll be able to volunteer for if you want to be a speaker or a sponsor as well, and just check out what we have upcoming. I do want to introduce our moderator for tonight, Mr. Anthony Craig. He is a dedicated performance-driven human resources professional with 10 years of experience. He has held roles in both corporate business segments and the manufacturing and higher education industries. Currently, he is the HR manager for Loyola University Chicago, and he's also a part of NAAA HR's programming committee as well. Anthony excels in employee engagement, labor relations, and performance management initiatives. He has earned his Bachelor's of Science in Human Resource Management from Northern Illinois University. And on a personal note, Anthony resides in the city of Chicago. He enjoys hiking, bowling, and is an avid runner. And he's also a proud member of Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated. So I'll go ahead and pass it over to Anthony as our moderator. So thank you, everyone.
All right, thank you for that introduction, Angelica. All right, so I'll go ahead and introduce our speaker for today. Her name is Felicia Houston. She provides dynamic educational workshops and presentations focused on mental health, well-being, self-care, and stress-less living. She has 23 years of experience in mental health. Felicia possesses a BA in psychology and an MA in human development counseling from Bradley University in Peoria, Illinois. Her professional credentials include mental health first aid trainer, championship trainer, trauma and resilience trainer, soul shop trainer, licensed clinical professional counselor, consumer wellness advocate, and mental health consultant. Felicia also serves as the mental health specialist in the Faith and Health Partnership Department of Advocate Health. Her favorite quote is caring for myself is not self-indulgence, it is self-preservation, and that is an act of political welfare. All right. So thank you, Felicia, for joining us this evening. Um, how's everything going with you?
Everything is going well. Thank you so much for that introduction. And thank you guys for inviting me, for allowing me to share this space with you all this evening. So I look forward to this conversation.
Yeah, that's definitely a critical topic that we are going to be talking about tonight. All right.
Yes, yes.
All right. So I first want to kick this interview off, just kind of talking about your favorite quote. I'll read it again, as I mentioned in the introduction. So it's caring for myself is not self-indulgence, it is self-preservation, and that is not an act. That is an act of political welfare. Can you tell us why that is your favorite quote, and what does it mean to you?
So that is my favorite quote because I consider myself a big advocate for self-care. And I think what that quote says to me is that self-care is not optional. A lot of times I hear people saying, I would do something for myself, but I don't
Mhm.
have the time, because I'm busy taking care of everyone else. So what this quote says to me that it's necessary that we take care of ourselves, especially as Black professionals, because we often carry an emotional load that's invisible. To others, like we're navigating biases, we're advocating for fairness, we're showing up in spaces where we're expected to be strong, we're supposed to be composed, we're always supposed to be available, and that can drain us. And so I think what the author is saying is that when we care for ourselves, it disrupts those systems that benefit from our exhaustion. So when I choose rest, when I set those boundaries and I keep those boundaries, when I choose joy in my mental wellness, it's a radical act. So that's what that is. It says everything to me that my humanity, my energy, my voice matters. That's what that says. And it says a whole bunch of other stuff, but it's basically saying that when I pour into myself, I'm not being selfish because it's necessary that I pour into myself because it allows me to pour into others and to serve others.
Okay. All right. So I want to hold on to that. So a couple of the topics that we're going to talk about are kind of, I think it'll help us dive deeper into that quote. All right. So also I forgot to mention that as far as like if any of the participants that's attending tonight has any questions, Angelica will, you can put your questions in the Q&A section or in the chat, and Angelica will go in and kind of read the questions throughout the interview. All right. So then I want to kick it off when it talks about spotting stress and burnout early. I have a question around that. What does organizational culture play in either preventing or worsening burnout for Black HR professionals?
Mm. Well, organizational culture is everything. And I think we have to keep in mind when we have a healthy culture, it helps to prevent burnout. When it's not a healthy work environment, you have burnout, you have compassion fatigue. It affects your bottom line because people are not coming to work because they are taking sick days, PTO days, whatever kind of days they have, they're taking them because they don't want to come to work. So I've seen like this cute little reel where the girl calls in and she's like, "Hey, I'm sick." And the boss like, "Oh, what's wrong?" "I'm sick of my job. I'm sick of coming there." So that's how it kind of shows up. But what we really want to do is create an environment that's really supportive, that we want to normalize rest. We want to normalize boundaries instead of rewarding overworking. And I think many environments, they reward overworking. Healthy environments ensure psychological safety, where their perspective is not minimized or dismissed. So people in healthy work environments feel heard, they feel seen. And if we're being honest, many Black HR professionals, like all of you are, many of you all are doing two jobs. The one you're
Mhm.
being paid for, and then the emotional labor of being the go-to. You're doing conflict resolution, you're doing DEI, you're supporting the employees of color. So you have two jobs, and so it's important that the environment you're in allows you to rest, allows you to take days off. Maybe you have snacks in the break room, healthy snacks. Your gym membership is included. You have an EAP provider so that people know that, oh, they really care about me. So though it can be a good thing when the culture is good, it's great. But when it's bad, it affects your bottom line as an organization. And as an HR person, you probably have a revolving door because people keep coming and going and going and coming and coming and going. So that's not good for HR professionals. You really want people to come and you want them to stay. But if the environment is not right, and that's when you have that revolving door.
Okay. And I like how you mentioned as far as like with HR, we have the EAP program. Like throughout your experience, have you seen where like HR professionals actually use the EAP program for themselves?
No, rarely. Like they'll recommend it to other people. But I would say that during the pandemic, more people use the EAP. provider than ever before. Because I think people realized it was a lot of awareness about it. People realized that it was not just for the employee, but it was for the employee as well as their family members. So many people went, but then many people realized that that wasn't enough. That they needed ongoing therapy beyond the five, I think the 5 sessions that you get when you go to an EAP provider.
Okay, I like that.
We
All
have a
right.
quick question in the chat. Someone stated, what does a supportive HR team look like?
A good question.
So I think from what I've seen, and I've been a manager, director, and all of that in different work environments, a healthy HR team is preventive. So a healthy HR team is offering their staff different topics on a regular basis. So it's not just a lunch, one lunch and learn for the whole year. You're using that EAP provider because you're paying them, using them to come in and do some things with your staff. But also a healthy HR team is leaving at a reasonable hour, taking breaks, drinking water. Maybe the HR team say, "Hey guys, let's get together during lunch and let's go for a walk." So I think there are a number of things. Each team is different, but a healthy HR team is realizing that the staff needs more than just do your work, having some other things. So one HR team asked me to come in and do a wellness day. And so I said, can I ask you to challenge you to do something different? And they said, oh yeah, what do you want? What do you have in mind? So I brought in somebody to do cardio drumming. And they're like, what is that? And I said, that's somebody who comes in, they have these buckets, they have these big balls, you have these drumsticks. And during lunch, they did cardio drumming. Many of the HR staff, they were hilarious. They were like, I have never tried anything like this, but I love it. And it's something that I want to continue to offer for our staff to show that we know how to have fun. So every HR team is different, but it can't just all be about work. It has to be a relational. You have to be building those relationships with people. So when you have to have those difficult conversations, you're able to have those difficult conversations because you have a good relationship with people. They're not just seeing you when there's a problem.
Right. Okay. And how does that work too? Like even with the HR, we all in different offices and behind a closed door. Have you seen it where any feedback where pretty much it's an open office, like HR does one big conference room, maybe they go in there and just meet in a conference room time to time versus just always being isolated and within the office?
Absolutely, absolutely. And just coming out and doing some social things to show people that you're human. The humanity side of you that is not just they're not just coming to see the HR person because I'm in trouble.
Right.
But I'm seeing the person at the barbecue or I'm seeing them, when we going out, and playing maybe a sport or something. So people get to know you and build a relationship with you. So I think that that is necessary as well.
Okay. All right. And then also too, kind of a quick question. You mentioned about like checking emails, like taking that mental health walk. How does that play out when you have the Outlook on your phone? And if you do go to take the
Mm.
mental health walk, you get the email that you got to respond to right away. Uh, has that come across your play before?
So I personally do not have Outlook on my phone. I refuse to put it on my phone. And my VP is okay with that because I just told her, I said, you know how to reach me. If you need to reach me, text me. But if I'm not in front of my computer, it's not going to happen. I'm not doing it. And she's okay with that. But I think if you're taking a walk, I'm assuming the walk is only going to be about 30 minutes.
Hmm.
And if you don't have your phone for 30 minutes, I don't think the world is going to end because you didn't have your phone on. I think they'll be okay for 30 minutes. But I think at the root of that is control. And I'm not speaking for anyone else. I'm speaking for myself. I think the need to have control. But you can't just be readily available to everybody all the time because that's going to mentally drain you. And you will not be available to the people that you're supposed to be available to because you're always on. You're on 24/7. And it's not just HR professionals, because I do a lot of professional development for a lot of organizations. A lot of educators are like, oh my God, I'm available all day. They can reach me anytime. They can call me, they can text me, they can email me. And I'm like, no, you need to have some office hours. You need to set some boundaries. So,
Mhm.
healthy HR professionals, you have to set some boundaries so that people know my office hour, his office hours, Anthony's office hours are this. So I need to contact him during these hours, not anytime I feel like talking to Anthony, I can call him. Now, there are exceptions to the rule, like if there's an emergency, absolutely. But every time is not an emergency. So setting those boundaries and keeping those boundaries is healthy for you as well as the people that you manage because you're teaching them how to have boundaries as well.
Okay. And just with the boundaries, like is there like a time limit as far as like a best practices where like practice that for like 30 days and then you we always know like once we might set our boundaries, but usually after a day or two, it goes out the window because we feel like we have to respond back or we have to take care of our clients right away.
And so I challenge you on that. Okay. So I know that what you do, the work that you do is very important. But I would say that taking that break that you need for you is going to help you to be more available to them when they really need you. Because if you continue going the way that you're going, you're gonna just burn out. You're gonna burn out, you won't be coming to work, and then who's gonna help them when you're not there? Somebody else is gonna help them. So, you taking a 30-minute break is not going to be the end all be all, but it put communicating with people. Hey, I'm going to be on break from this time to this time. I was a director at a hospital, and I would put a sign on my door every day in a meeting from 10 to 10:30. And the staff was like, "Who are you in a meeting with? I didn't see anybody come in there. I didn't see anybody come out. Who are you?" I said, "I'm in a meeting with myself." From 10 o'clock to 10:30, I would meet with myself. Some days I would check emails. Some days I would check messages. Some days I would just look out my window and look at the birds. But that was my time for me every day from 10 to 10:30. So that's what I'm saying. Figure out a way that you can carve out some time for you and communicate that to other people so that they don't disrespect that time because they know that my time was from 10 to 10:30. So they did not bother me during that time.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we have another question in the chat. You kind of touched on this a little bit, but I want to still get their question out. It does.
Okay.
How do you navigate being firm on your boundaries for your mental health and sanity when others disrespect them while being sure that you don't end up being targeted or labeled?
That's a good question. That's a good question. So I think that will require you having a conversation with that person, and setting your boundaries and sticking with your boundaries. So I'll give you an example. My VP, she knows this because I tell her this all the time. I feel like she chases shiny coins. So we have a standing meeting every Friday, and every Friday she has a brand new idea. Oh, look what oh, this is great. Oh, it's gonna be great. It's gonna and Felicia, I think you should. And I'm like, no, 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 no. Felicia is not available for this one because remember last week you gave Felicia this, and the week before that you gave Felicia that. Felicia's plate is full. It's full to capacity. And I want to be a team player, but the only way I can take on another thing is if you take one of these things off my plate. And then she thinks about it, and sometimes she will take something off my plate, or she'll go to someone else. So I think it's a matter of having a conversation and saying, hey, I my mental health is most important, and I have a boundary. I don't talk to people between 10 and 10:30. That's my boundary. And I've noticed that you keep calling me at 10:15. And I'm not answering you at 10:15, not because I want to be disrespectful or I'm ignoring you, but I am on my break from 10 to 10:30. So if you could call me before 10 or after 10, I'm here for you. But between 10 and 10:30, I am not available for personal reasons. So I think it's having a conversation, and then the more conversation you have with people, then everyone will know that don't call Felicia between 10 and 10:30 because she's not available and she won't answer.
Thank you for that. And we have one more question in the chat. What is your advice when HR culture is poor and you're dealing with
Mm,
a micromanager as a leader?
that is so hard. That is very hard. But I have worked for some micromanagers. So what I do with micromanagers is I anticipate. I anticipate. So I'm like, oh, she's going to ask me for this. Let me get this to her now. Or he's going to ask me for this. Like I used to work for a medical director who was like that. And sometimes he was just rude, would cuss people out, would one time he came into the office and something wasn't done right, and he took the board off the wall and slammed it on the ground and on the floor until it broke into a million pieces. Um, and this was at a psychiatric facility. And so I would say that you really have to set your boundaries, and then anticipate. So after he threw the thing down on the floor and things of that sort, every morning when I came in, I'm like, hey guys, remember what he asked for? Every morning at 7 a.m., make sure that that is already done. Make sure it's printed out. Make sure it's on this table with his name on it so that we can avoid another situation like that. So what micromanagers just trying to anticipate what they want and what they need. That helps to keep the peace. Like, hey, I know you're gonna ask me for this. It's already done, or have it already queued up. So when they ask for it, all you have to do is hit the send button, or schedule it so that it's the first thing they see early in the morning. I work with a client now who likes to call and text at 6 in the morning. So I send her things at 6 in the morning, but I have it scheduled out already because I know she's going to be looking for things, but I have it already lined up for next week. Every day I have something going to her at 6 a.m. so she can leave me alone. So I think you just got to anticipate what they're looking for and just do it ahead of time because it keeps them from micromanaging because that's about control. And it's also a lack of trust, because maybe they didn't trust someone in the past, or maybe they just have difficulty trusting people. But the more you do stuff like that, it builds up the trust, and then they won't micromanage you as much. But it's hard. It's hard. I don't do well with micromanagers. So
Okay. So kind of with the micromanagers, is it like kind of to help re alleviate some of that or them that I guess that leader feeling that they have to micromanage of like maybe scheduling like a one-on-one, a weekly one-on-one with them to kind of build that rapport, to kind of talk to them about the style you want to be led in?
you can do that. I wouldn't suggest that. But what I would do is send them a weekly report. So a weekly report just to like, hey, just want to let you know this is what I'm working on this week. I did this, or at the end of the week, I did this, because that micromanager doesn't trust that you're doing what you say you're doing. That's how I take it. They don't trust. So if you can show them every week that I am doing my job, I'm doing more than what you thought I was doing. I did that with one boss one time, and she was like, I had no idea you did that much. And I said, well, you never asked, but you were asking me to do tedious things like put it on this calendar and put it on that calendar and then send that calendar over to me from here. And I was like, we got three calendars now. Like, do you want me to do calendars or do you want me to do work? Which one do you want me to do? So, yeah, so I think just as you show them that you're doing the work and what you're doing, um, and then maybe schedule a meeting maybe once a month just to kind of talk. But I wouldn't do it every week because if the person is a micromanager, I don't think it's going to really make a big old difference.
Okay, sounds good. Are there any other questions, Angelica, that's in the chat?
No, there's not any right now.
Okay, cool. All right. And then as far as like with HR professionals, the big part of our job is dealing with employee relation issues.
Mhm.
Is there like any practices on ways that we could not get stressed out about going from investigation to investigation?
Yes. So I'm gonna give you something real simple. Is taking time to just breathe, like in between. Like you finish one thing. A lot of times I think you finish one thing and then you just rush into the next thing. You rush into the next thing. You rush and you don't even give yourself permission to pause. And I think when you talk about self-care, that's what self-care is. It's simply giving yourself permission to pause. So allow yourself to pause, give yourself a few minutes to just get grounded while you're in the office. When you finish one thing and you're ready to do the other, you do some deep breathing. Maybe do some doodling. I like to doodle, so I'll just doodle. That's relaxing for me. I'll doodle and then I'll color inside my little doodle. It don't look like much because I'm not I'm not an artist at all. But I think just trying to do some things like that before you move on to the next thing. And I think the biggest thing, guys, is keeping in mind what you can control and what you cannot control. Because a lot of times we stress ourselves out about things that we have no control over. And if we just reckon, okay, this is what I have control over before I go in here, I can control this, this, and this. I
Hmm.
cannot control this, this, and this. Give yourself about 60 seconds to get grounded and centered before you go into that next conversation so that you're not depleted, but you filled yourself up with some things. And then just be human, saying things like, I hear you. This sounds really difficult. Thank you for trusting me with this.
Right.
These are things that just help, if you're just honest with people. And again, build that relationship with the person. Let them feel that they're seen and heard, because that's what people want to be seen and heard. You may not have given them any solution, but they know that you heard them. So a lot of times I would do that as a manager. I'm like, oh, that sounds like a difficult. Yes, I know. Yes, the Bears are playing. Absolutely. Yes, but you do know you're on the schedule for Sunday at 3 o'clock. So I don't know if you can record the Bears game, but you're going to need to be at work on Sunday during the
You're right.
Bears game. But in the future, you may want to ask somebody to switch with you, so that you can, because I understand the Bears games are important to you, but this Sunday I need you at work. Okay. And a lot of times my staff would say that they're like, you told me no in such a nice way. I'm like, but we still have to. The job has to be done. So just creating that human connection with people. I don't know if you guys have potlucks. I'm not a big fan of potlucks, but when I do potlucks, I always tell everyone they have to bring something store bought. Because people may be allergic to different things. So everyone with the ingredients on it, so we can all know what we're partaking in. But it also allows everybody to kind of get to know people on a deeper level. So when you have to have those difficult conversations, it's a little bit easier.
All
Thank
right.
you
Good
for
point.
that, Felicia. And we have a two-part question that's in the chat. So I'll just start with the first part of that question. It states, in your experience, what are some of the very basic changes organizations can make to ensure their employees do not experience burnout?
Okay. 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 So for that part right there, some basic things that people can do, that organizations can do, to make to you. I don't think you can make people not experience burnout, but again, you have to have those relationships so that you can recognize that people are burnt out. So if you don't have relationships with people, you're not going to recognize their signs. So, like for instance, I know Anthony. I think I know him. I don't know him very well, but I know him enough. We both run. We've been on a run team together. So now, if Anthony hasn't ran in 5 days, I'm worried about Anthony. I'm like, okay, Anthony, what's going on? Yes, not like you. You always running. So that may mean that Anthony is burnt out. But if you don't have a relationship with him, then you won't know that. Some things that you can do is maybe get together as a team and go for a walk. If you're all in the same on a campus together, let's get together and walk. I was working with a group of attorneys downtown, and I just encouraged them. I said, during your lunch, get together on Wednesday and maybe Friday and walk for half an hour together and then eat together so that you build relationships. So when you're having these difficult cases and stuff, you know who you can call on, you know who you can ask for assistance. Also, another group that I work with, they were on this health journey. So they all got into like a Fitbit challenge, a step challenge. Who was going to get the most steps? And then they all got together to to make a salad every day. So say for instance, Anthony brought the lettuce, Lawana brought the cheese, Angelique brought eggs, Ashley brought some, and then everybody came together and put a nice big healthy salad together. They sit down and they share a meal together. But also allowing people to have mental health days. I don't know if you guys have mental health days, but allowing people to take a day off for no reason. They don't have to give you any explanation. Today I'm not coming, and it's okay. What do you have in your refrigerator? Do you have room? Do you have cold water? Do you have room temperature water? Do you have healthy snacks as opposed to those other snacks? One company I went to speak to, it was amazing. They refrigerated, they had all types of fruit and vegetables. They had a freezer full of like ice cream sandwiches and things of that sort. That's a nice work environment. So if you are feeling some kind of way, you know you can go in there and grab something and replenish yourself and go back to your office. And then having mental health events on a regular basis, not once a year in May because it's Mental Health Awareness Month, but having conversations on a regular basis and surveying the staff, doing surveys with staff to say, how are you feeling? What do you think the work culture is? One organization brought several of us in to do a focus group to find out the culture there, the work culture. It was not a good thing, you guys. It was horrible. The staff felt overwhelmed, overworked, underpaid, unheard. They felt disrespected. It was horrible. It was horrible. So survey your staff on a regular basis and then implement some of those things. Don't just hear them and go, oh, okay, and we're gonna still do what we've been doing. Actually implement some of those things. Give them a try. Even if they don't work, give them a try. Something that some CEOs did, which I thought was amazing to show that their humanity. They started doing Zooms with their staff and doing cooking classes on Zoom. The CEOs were sharing recipes with their staff, so their staff could see the CEO as human, and they made connections. So there are several things that you can do. Maybe bring your pet to work day or something. Several people are into pets, but then there are some people who are allergic to pets, so you want to be mindful of that. But having those regular conversations and doing some things that are not so traditional to show that you care about the whole person. Yes, you want them to do their job, but do you care that? So I had a staff who, I think her cat had cancer in the eyes or something, and then the cat died. And I don't like cats. And my staff was like, Felicia, you have to do something for her because she lost her cat. And I was like, what do you do for somebody who lost a cat? I don't know. And they were like, they have cards for that. Send her some flowers, just let her leave early. And I said, okay. And I did it. She was one of my best staff after that because I showed that I had a human connection with her. So,
Thank you for that. And then the second part to their question is, given the social climate, social, political, and professional climate, has there been any unique advice or different advice you offer to Black professionals?
so I think for Black professionals during this time, we have to really be supportive of each other, and be there for each other. So, for instance, I have a staff, a colleague that I work with, and anytime when we're in meetings and somebody says they need somebody to do something, she's always me, all the time. And then she's in the hospital all the time. She's sick all the time. And so when we're in those meetings with people that don't look like us, and someone makes a comment and they say, I need something, I will text her. And I'm like, don't put your hand up. You better not put your hand up. You don't have any more space to put anything else on your plate. Your plate is full. And she'll laugh and she's like, thank you for holding me accountable. Thank you for holding me accountable. So I think during this time, we have to really be there for each other. But it starts with our self care, because as we take care of ourselves, then we can focus on community care. But if we're not taking care of ourselves, we're not going to see that someone else is not doing well. I called one of my team members the other day because I was doing a training with them on trauma. It was trauma informed care. And he responded to one of my questions in an odd way. And I was like, that doesn't sound like him. And so after I finished, I waited a few hours and I contacted him and I said, hey, you didn't seem like yourself today. Do you need anything? And I think that's what we as Black people have to do right now during this time is to be honest. And if you notice something is off, ask, how can I be of help? How can I be of assistance? Anthony, if you're feeling overwhelmed right now, you don't seem like yourself. Is there anything I can do? Can I take something off your plate? Um, and actually do what you say you're going to do. Don't tell somebody you're going to help them and then you don't help them, because then you just created more stress for them. But I think we really have to come together, support each other, um, and work together. So I think that's helping during this time with the climate that we're in right now. Is being supportive of each other and recognizing when people are not doing well and offering assistance and being there for them during this time. And laugh. We can laugh right now. That's what we can do. We can laugh and be a listening ear. So
Okay. I'm gonna take one more question before Anthony move on to your next question. When focusing on relationship building, do you consider the generation that that person belongs to? So like millennial,
yeah. So I would say that my team is multi-generational. And so we keep that in mind, but when we're planning things, we do all different things to so that we cater to everybody. So we have people as young as 20, and then we have people who are 70 and everything in between. So yes, you definitely have to keep that in mind. But again, me having a relationship with them shouldn't matter what generation they're from, because people you connect through your heart, not your age. But once you connect through the heart, then you can learn about other people. And I think for some of the millennials, I lean on them like, okay, I need this done. um, this is how I do it. Do you have a quicker way that we can do it? Because we need to get this done, and we need to get this done right away. And I've been open to new ideas, because the goal is to get the thing done, not have control where it has to be my way. But yes, you definitely want to keep in mind the generation. But I also think when you're developing those relationships, what I always do with staff is ask them, how would you like to be communicated? How would you like for me to communicate with you? And then I've had 40 some staff, and all 40 of them wanted me to communicate with them in a different way. But I cared enough about them to commit that to memory, to write that down. So I knew she wants me to text her. She wants me to email her. She wants me to send her a message through the here. She wants to do this. She wants me. But I do that so that I continue to build those relationships. So it requires you, to sometimes to do some one-on-ones, maybe have some coffee, go to lunch or dinner with people, so you genuinely can get to know people and build those relationships.
Okay, thank you for sharing that information. And I was kind of just thinking, just overall, kind of over the past couple questions you just answered. Um, as far as like HR professionals, depending on what level they're in, the number of years of experience they might have. So say they come into an organization and maybe part of like their mental health is just they don't know where they belong at within that, org,
Hmm.
whether the position is the right fit. Maybe it's the team isn't. They haven't really got to know the team. Can you talk about that? Maybe some experiences you might have came across.
So yes, so I think in settings like that, it may not be on your team. You may connect with somebody outside of your team. So trying to figure that out, and then maybe even having a mentor outside of your organization can be helpful. Um, Having a mentor who does this work, and then maybe they can give you a different perspective, and allow you to just be there. They can be there for you and listen, without judgment, because they don't know your work environment. Like, hey, well, it sounds like this. Have you tried this? Have you tried that? What about this? I remember one time I was at an organization, and my boss got a raise, and so he got a promotion. He's like, Felicia, so you're going to be the next person. And I said, I'm not interested in taking your job. And he's like, yes, you are. And I was like, no, I'm not. And he's like, yes, but you gotta get those relationships, Felicia. And I was like, I don't want those relationships. And he's like, you got to go out, you got to be social. And I was like, I don't want to go out with those people, I don't want to be social. And he was like, but you have to, because if you're going to manage them, they have to see you as human. And so
Right.
I would do that, and then he's like, "Yeah, have a drink with me." I said, "I don't drink, so I'm not drinking." He said, "Well, just tell the bartender to just put some lime on it." And I'm like, "Okay, fine, whatever." And I did that, And I really got to know people outside of the workspace. So when we came back into the workspace, we had a different relationship. So that's what I would say, that when you're coming into something new, give people a chance, get to know people, ask questions, and then get to know people outside of your department. As the HR person, you should be knowing, everybody should know you because you're the HR person. So everybody should know you, but you should know everybody as well, even down to the janitors. I knew my cleaning people by first name. Like, I bought them birthday gifts. They brought me birthday gifts. I had a baby. They gave me a baby shower gifts because I had that relationship with them. So
Hmm.
I encourage you to build those relationships with everybody, not just the people on your team.
Yeah, I think that's important too, because even in my current role, there's a couple of like outside like committees around the campus
Hmm.
that I'm heavily involved in. So that definitely,
Yes.
you coming to work or just walking around, you should just see familiar faces that you might
It's,
see within these meetings. So that does give you someone else to connect
hmm.
just outside your department. So
Yes.
that's a
And
really
then
good.
just having you a circle. So I don't know who your circle is, but you should have you a circle where you could just unpack, laugh, vent, and uplift each other. So I don't know, and that can be outside of the workspace, but you can go to those people and just be your authentic self, and then they're gonna give you real feedback. Like, no, you just making it up. Those people they're not like that. That's just you. You did this at your last place, right? So you want to have those type of people in your circle, that you can connect with, and be your authentic self.
Okay, that's a good point. All right, and then even just when the kind of I guess we can wrap up with the last question, and then if anybody else have any questions, we can they can put them in the chat. We can answer them. But um, kind of with joining the committees, do you think as far as like their like from an HR perspective, like our managers or our leaders, I think when they can recommend like certain things around your within the organization that might be a good fit for you. But also, I kind of think we mentioned earlier with the one-on-one, you kind of build that rapport. So
Hmm.
how do you transition? Like if you're in those meetings, how do you kind of bring those things up to your leaders to know so they can learn just more about you?
So I think so for me, my VP, we meet once a week. Well, we don't meet once a week. We're supposed to, but we don't. We meet like every other week or something. So if I see something that I'm interested in when I have that one-on-one, I say, hey, I'm interested in doing this. Like I just told her, I said I'm interested in so I'm a mental health first aid trainer, and the conference is coming up. And I said, and I would like to attend the conference. And she's like, okay, just send me the information and I'll see what we can do. But I think you have to have those conversations so that they know what you have an interest in. So when they're sitting in those other meetings, they'll know what would be a good fit for you. But if it's not a fit, then you should be able to go back to your leader and say, hey, you recommended this. I don't think that's a good fit for me. And this is why. I'm going to continue to go because I signed up for it and I'm a person of my word, but it's really not a fit for me, and this is why. So I think just being knowing yourself, doing your self assessment. I know once a year I do a self assessment to see what
Okay.
my strengths are. What do I want to grow in? Are there any certifications I want to gain? Are there any workshops I want to go to? And then I make that known to the whole team. So if anybody sees anything, they're like, Felicia, I saw this. I think you'll be interested in it. So I think just letting people know what you're interested in helps you.
Okay, cool. All right, thank you for sharing that. So that'll be my last question. So I would like to kind of use this time to ask uh, for the audience if you guys want to come off mute or just put it in the chat. You have any questions for Felicia or even I?
I'm gonna come off mute. So for those who, let's just say you don't know that you're burnt out, what are some signs that you are burnt out? Maybe some people are just
Mhm.
really, like you kind of gave the example earlier, like the person's like me, like, give me the work and stuff like that.
So some signs that you may be burnt out is like apathy. Like I really don't care. That you may not say it out loud, but that you're in the meeting and they're like, "Can anybody do this?" And you're like, "No." And then, "Can anybody do this?" No, I can't do that either. And you didn't know. And they're like, "Well, what do you think about it?" I don't. Or you're not saying anything. Before you would be the person that say, "Hey, I think we should do this," and then now you're at a point where you just sit there and you say absolutely nothing, because you are tired. You're burnt out to the point where you really don't care. Like, I'm coming here. and I'm gonna do the bare minimum. I'm not doing anything extra. You are irritable more than usual. You're calling off sick when you're not really sick because you sick of the place. You're sick of the people. Certain people, I think one lady said it best. She said, "This person is getting on my last nerve. Like I don't have any nerves left." And she said, "And I know it's not the person, it's me because I'm burnt out. My patience level is non-existence. So you don't have any patience. It's difficult for you to get out the bed to go there. You know, when Sunday night you get sick, your stomach starts hurting Sunday night, and you get happy on Thursday because it's tomorrow's Friday. I don't have to see them. I'm so excited. So you want to pay attention, and then your work starts to suffer. You know, when you're burnt out, your work is starts to suffer. You have difficulty focusing. So those are just some signs that you are experiencing burnout, and you don't want to be about, you don't want to be around people. You know, like you used to going out to lunch with everybody. Now you're in your office. Like I don't want to go anywhere. I'm gonna close my door and just be by myself. You know, so those are some signs and symptoms that you are burnt out, and you need to take a break. So I'm not saying you need to quit your job because some people say they're like, "Oh, Felicia, you said I should quit my job." That's not what I said. I said you need to make some changes and take a break, and you need to get some rest. And that's another conversation altogether. That rest is not sleep. You know, sleep and rest are two different things. So many of us are burnt out because we're tired because we're not getting enough sleep or we're not carving out time to actually rest.
Okay, thank you for sharing that. All
And
right. I'll go ahead.
I have another question. So, is there
Mhm.
any time where you would say that it's time for a person to leave from being burnt out at an
Mhm.
organization, and maybe there's like maybe the boundaries is not necessarily working there, or they're just is there like when would you say is a great time to start looking elsewhere?
So, what is affecting your health? So, when you go to the doctor and the doctor says, if you keep working there, you're gonna die. That's a clear sign that it's time for you to get another job or time to leave that one. I've seen people where they've went to their doctor and their doctor have said, your blood pressure is so high, your cholesterol level, you've had a stroke. I know this lady has had one, two, three, I think she's had four strokes. And I'm like, and you still keep going to that job. Like the doctor's like, you should not be having strokes at this age. She's young, but she's having strokes. So I think when it's affecting your health, it's affecting your memory. People's hair come out because of burnout. Like one young lady I know, she had locks. Her locks were literally falling on the ground because she was so burnt out from the stress that she was experiencing at her job. So if it's affecting your daily living, it's time to do something else. But I don't suggest you just quit on the spot. I suggest you have a plan because that's going to create some extra stress for you. So have a plan and execute your plan on how you're going to exit. Don't just exit without a plan because then that'll make it even worse.
Thank you. And does anyone else have any questions for Miss Felicia today? You can drop them in the chat or you can come off of mute. Okay. Well, I want to thank
Hey,
you once.
Mr. James.
Oh, there we go.
Sorry. Hey, Felicia, this is James LeBlanc. I'm a part of NHR. Just want to say thank you. Appreciate you doing this event.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. Can I ask a question? There's somebody in the chat. It just says iPhone. And they asking me, am I still at AAH? And I'm like, yes. I don't know who it is, but yes, I am.
Hi, Felicia. Are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Wonderful. I'm Kendra. Anthony invited me. This was a wonderful session. And I used to
Oh,
work at AAH. And so
okay,
that's why I asked. Yes.
okay.
All
Yes,
right.
I am.
Thank you.
Yes, I am still there.
Okay. Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you for coming. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Yes. Thank you
Thank
once
you.
again. Felicia, for this very open and candid conversation that you had with us and our members tonight. Thank you once again, Anthony, for being our moderator. I do want to thank everyone who joined tonight. I want to give a special shout out to NAAAHR's past past general president and chairman, Mr. Nathaniel Austin, is on the call. So thank you for joining us tonight as well. It's a pleasure. We're going to drop some documents in the chat for you all to action for your well-being, to kind of take with you. So I'll drop them momentarily. And then once again, if you have not done so already, please make sure that you check out our website. I have dropped that in the chat earlier, as well as our website. So please make sure that you download those documents, work on them for yourselves, for your health and well-being as well. So thank you all for tonight.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. And Angelique, if I can just leave one thing with everyone,
Yes.
is in regards to boundaries. So I know that we hear a lot of people talking about boundaries, but it's important that we establish those boundaries and we keep those boundaries. Usually when I'm talking to organizations, people are like, well, I just don't know how to tell people no. And maybe you don't tell them no, but tell them not right now, or tell them, let me think about it. Let me get back to you. Give yourself some time to process what they're asking you to do. Because when somebody is asking you to do something, it usually requires some emotions. It may require some finances. It requires your time. So you really need to process before you just say yes, and overcommit yourself to things, because that affects you and that leads to burnout because you keep saying yes to everything. So making sure that you figure out a way to say, not right now, or let me get back to you, and so that without having the guilt of just coming flat out and saying, hopefully you get to the point where you could just say no. I don't have the capacity to do that. I don't have the bandwidth to take that on. But thank you for thinking of me. But I just don't have the bandwidth to do it. So that is what I encourage you to do. And as you all do that individually, then collectively, you can start coming up with some things. And the two documents I gave you, those are your homework assignments. I hope that you do it, because if you want something different, you got to do something different. So I hope that everyone will do those things. And if you guys bring me back, then we can talk about, what changes have you made since we had this conversation today. So thank you
Thank
for having me.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. And we'll also be sending out those documents to the emails of those who joined us tonight. So thank you so much. Have a great night, everyone. Enjoy your evening and happy early Thanksgiving.
Yes, happy early Thanksgiving. Thank you.
Bye-bye.